Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Menopause, Fitness and Nutrition webinar. My name is Sarah, and I'll be your host for today's session, in which we'll be joined by the brilliant Catherine Martin from Women Gone Strong. Catherine will provide guidance on what menopause means, changes to the female body, and share nutritional tips on to optimize well-being in menopause. We'll end the session with a Q&A opportunity, and this will be followed by a 15-minute bodyweight workout to leave you nice and energized for the afternoon. This webinar is brought to you as part of the Middlestar Multiply programme, funded by the UK government through the Shared Prosperity Fund. Just before we get started, I'd just take you through a little bit of housekeeping. Today's session is being recorded so that we can upload to the Council's YouTube channel for those who can't attend. Your cameras and microphones, though, are turned off by default, so you will not be seen or heard at any time during this session. We'd love for you to make the most out of today's webinar and ask any questions that you'd like to, and you can do so by using the Q&A function that is at the bottom of your screen on the Zoom toolbar. Just pop your question in there and we'll pick it up either throughout the session or at the end in the Q&A. If you wish to ask your question anonymously, you can choose to do so when entering your question as well. That's it from me. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you very much. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be asked to come along and share my knowledge and expertise with everybody that's going to either watch this or with us today. So thank you very much. So if we maybe go to the next slide. So navigating menopause with confidence is what it's all about, because personally I do follow an awful lot of accounts about menopause on social media, and they have the wits scared out of me, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. So I can only imagine the horror stories that's going on in your mind, because you don't always have the true facts and the basic knowledge of what's happening to your body, mind through menopause. So if we pop over to the next slide, I'm going to tell you a wee bit more about me. So you can see the top picture, which was taken in 2019 and 2024 to the present picture now that you see on your screen. So there's a big difference between these two ladies. The lady at the top was an Olympic lifter for weightlifting and competed at European level pre-perimenopause. And now that lovely lady in 2024, and the one that you sit in front of you today, is perimenopause 3 years. So it had a massive impact on how I worked out, how I lived my life, and how I ran my business. But the important thing that I do believe is to accept and adapt. And sometimes that just takes a wee while. So 3 years ago, I noticed an awful lot of changes in my body physically, and my mental well-being changed drastically as well. And I just couldn't understand what was happening. Like, through all of the courses I've ever done with regards to fitness, nutrition, there wasn't very much talked about with regards to what happens to a woman during menopause. So it took a wee while for me to clue on what was happening. So I went to my GP, and that's how we started the ball rolling to me managing and adapting my life to this transition called the menopause. So ever since then, 3 years ago, I have studied, I have read all of the, not all of the books, but most of the books, and I gained my qualification as a menopause practitioner. And that has given me a really good insight to help me share my knowledge and to give you an overview of the basic understanding here today of what you can expect. So, and for me personally, the holistic approach will really need to come into play as well as nutrition, and we'll touch on that slightly today as well. So if we go to the next slide. So if you think about it, there's 4.01 billion people living in this world, and approximately 49%, 49.6% are females, of which will all mostly transition through the menopause. So it is so important. So taking into consideration half of that, so it's about 2 billion women. 2 billion is a massive number. And if you think about every one of those ladies going through that transition of menopause, this is going to greatly affect their family relationships and their working relationships. So even though it's happening to women, I think it's so important that we all take stock, whether you're a daughter, whether you're a son, whether you're a husband, a partner, whatever the case may be. Educate yourself to know what's coming and understand what's happening to your partner, which will make your life a lot easier as well. And next slide. So let's talk about our lovely hormones. So throughout the body, hormones are such a there's powerful chemicals produced through the endocrine gland. And these are released into the bloodstream to act on targeted organs. And that's processes within the body. So there are chemical messengers regulated and released by the endocrine system that use them to control and coordinate our metabolism, our energy levels, our reproduction system, our growth and development, and a response to injury, stress, and mood. So you can see how many different ways, like if something's out of balance there, something like out of those 6 or 7 things, at least one of those things are going to be affected. And so for some ladies, all of those things are affected. So you can understand from our point of view why sometimes we don't feel like ourselves, like sometimes we're on the outside looking in and kind of lose ourselves. And then sometimes think that we're going crazy, because personally, that was definitely me a year ago. Even though I was perimenopause 3 years last year, I really hit a new level of who am I, where's my motivation? And I'm probably a really motivated person 99% of the time. But I was going, who is this person? And with regards to the fitness industry, January time's like really busy for us. So we need to be on the ball. We need to be sharp here and sharp here. And normally any other January is not an issue. But at this stage, I did not even want to open the laptop. I did not want to create a program. I did not want to do social media. I didn't even want to see clients. And I was going, Catherine, who is this person? This is not you. So what I personally done was I went private and got a set of bloods done, and my testosterone was on the floor. So we're going to talk about hormones and their jobs and what they do and what symptoms you might be feeling if they are not at a decent, at a good level. So if we go to the next slide. So let's talk about the changes in our hormones first. So with the blue line, you can see that's your estrogen. So you've got 3 hormones to take into consideration: our estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Okay, so the blue line is our estrogen. So you can see the biggest decline, and I suppose it's maybe one of those hormones that decline very quickly and you drastically. So you can see that and how big of effect that could have on a female body. And then we have the green line, which is your progesterone. So that's more of controlled as it comes down. So it's not as big a drop. And then testosterone, which we probably don't talk about loud enough because we sort of think about, oh, that's a male or that's a male hormone, but that's not the case, ladies. Testosterone has a massive part to play in your body and your mind. So be aware of that today. So that just gives you an overview. And premenopause is obviously before you're getting those perimenopause symptoms, and that can range from anything from up to 35. So from anything from 35 to 51, you should, and you most probably will be hitting perimenopause. So with regards to perimenopause, that is the stage where those hormones is like a roller coaster. So they don't know if they're coming or going, and that's why you feel lovely and dandy one moment, and then you maybe feel like a really cross woman, or you just feel as if you're losing the plot. So it's the fact that they're doing a dance and they're going up and down, and that's what makes you really, that's what makes it really difficult for you or for I to feel like you're just on a nice even, I suppose, a nice even line where you can cope with life no matter what it throws at you. So that's what makes it so difficult in that perimenopause. Now, menopause could hit with 7 to 10 years after that. And menopause happens one day of the year, which we'll talk about that in a wee second. And then you're postmenopause. So you're coming out the other side of that, and you will be postmenopausal until the day that you leave us. So if we go on to the next slide. So let's talk about the symptoms. Up to quite recently, there's 52 symptoms of the menopause. And if you have a wee read through that, I know throughout my 3 years of being perimenopausal, excuse me, I've hit at least 10 or 11 of those symptoms. Thankfully, not all at the same time, but I know for a fact, I know where my body feels like, I know what's normal for my body. So I know exactly whenever my hormones start playing a dance or start to go on that roller coaster. But that's me being totally aware of how my body is and what my normal is. So some ladies get it really light, maybe just 1 or 2 symptoms, and some ladies really, really, really do get a really, really tough time. So there's so many symptoms there. And I suppose why this is so hard to, is this menopause? Is it something else? Is because those symptoms, some of those symptoms could relate to 100 different other things. So that's why it's so important that you know what your normal is for your body. So we go to the next slide. So in my opinion, the goal for all women going through this transition is to try and balance your hormones. So I think the very first thing to understand is understand what's normal for you. which could be very different because there's no two ladies the same in this world. Okay, so understanding and being fully aware of what's your normal, and I do that through the Balance app. So Newson's Health, Louise Newson's Health, she's on Instagram and she is full of information and a lot of information about the menopause on her Balance app. And every day I record, am I feeling good today? Am I emotional today? Am I bloated today? All that information goes into that app. So then I can see if anything changes, as everything really changes. And I'm going, no, that's not my normal. That's not how my body operates on normal month. What's happening? Do I need to adjust my HRT? Do I need to get a set of bloods done? But we'll talk more about that later on. So consult a professional as soon as you can. Now, for the first 6 months of my perimenopause, I thought I was going to be a martyr. I was, no, I can do this without any medication. I can do this without any medication. And then 6 months, once I finally got a GP appointment, the process is not simple. GPs do get a really hard time, but they're not overqualified on this subject. So I thought I would go through them, and it's like everything. If you get a pill or any medication or whatever you decide to use to balance your hormones, it's not going to work overnight. So it could take 3, 4, 5 months. So it's really not a good idea to wait until you're at the depths of despair before you go and get some professional help. And the third thing is educate yourself in menopause. Understanding will take that fear away. The fear mongering on social media is crazy. And unfortunately, for a lot of reasons, that's just to make money off the back of you, which breaks my heart. But that's just the world that we live in today. So you getting a basic understanding of what's happening to your body, take your time to read and to investigate. And the NHS has a great part on their website that you can just go on there and they'll give you the basic information, basic understanding without the whole scientific jargon, which would scare the life out of you if you had to read that. The fourth thing is get moving to build stronger muscles and bones, and you'll do that with strength training. And do not be afraid of strength training. I'm going to take you through a wee sample of that later on through this webinar at the end. So never fear that, but it's all about building nice strong muscles. And for anybody that comes in here for a consultation, the first thing a lot of females will say to me is, Catherine, I do not want to look bulky. Well, ladies, let me tell you this here now. The training regimes, the food regimes that those ladies, those bulky ladies, have to go through to get into that kind of definition and that muscle mass would scare the life out of you. So for you and I, that's going to work out 2 or 3 times a week, that is never going to happen. So do not have that vision of that's what's going to happen. It's never going to happen for you and I. So, and the next thing is adapt your eating habits to complement your hormones and symptoms. So we are very insulin resistant once we get to that perimenopause, and I have noticed it massively in myself. So if I eat any of the white starchy foods like pasta, like white bread, like white rice, I look 6 months pregnant within 20 minutes. Okay, so I know that's my digestive system just can't cope with that kind of food. So I have to stay away from that kind of food. I've half a stone on since I hit perimenopause, but I constantly work to keep that at a level. Now, I know that's going to come back down again and I can lose that, but that's not my first and foremost thought whenever I'm talking about nutrition. For me, it's about how do I get my body working properly? How do I have it fully hydrated so that all of those cells in my body can actually work properly so that my hormones have a good system to work from within? So that's how I think. So I know it's while hard to sort of try and keep your head nice and level, especially if you do put weight on. But change that mindset and think about how do I get healthy instead of how do I lose half a stone or a stone? Because that kind of mindset would just put your head away. And it's very important to be aware of that. And then introduce self-care and holistic practices to help with symptoms like breath work and mindfulness practices. So every Thursday in the studio here, we have brought in meditation, relaxation, breath work for 1 hour. And ladies, our lives are mental. If it's not sick parents, it is kids going to all of the activities in the evening. And it's just tough work, never mind a full-time job and cleaning the house. So that's a lot. And we are only human. We are amazing, but we are only human. So taking that 2 minutes in the car for a wee bit of breath work, a wee bit of head and heart connection can make all the difference to your day. So I know my self-care has gone through the roof. Whereas before it might have been a hot bath, whereas now I meditate. And by meditation, I mean I just make that head and heart connection with some beautiful music for 5 minutes each day. And that brings my anxiety way down, anxiety which I would never have had before perimenopause. So it's a wee bit of everything that's going to help you navigate and transition that wee bit easier through your menopause. So if we can go to the next slide. So I suppose, like we talked about before, what is your normal? What is not your normal? So if you track your cycle now, I still have my cycle every month. But if you don't, you still need to track how your body operates every month. And like I say, if you go to your Play Store and you'll download the Balance app, and there's loads of brilliant information on there as well. And like, as I said before, if you need to talk to a GP, and I know so many females that really struggle with getting the right help with their GP, I did go private for my testosterone because it was an easier route to make that happen. So there's so many different ways and choices to go, but if you're not getting the right healthcare, please seek a professional. Seek a professional. Like, for instance, you would not go and ask your, say, your yoga teacher for a nutrition plan. So even though she is in the healthcare profession, go to a health coach, a nutritionist, or a nutrition coach to give you a food plan or to help you with your food. So do you see where I'm coming from? For me, if you can't afford it, go to the professionals as soon as you can. If you're not getting the right care with GPs, now not all GPs are under the same umbrella. Some GPs really are on the ball, and fair play to them because it's a really tough industry to be in at this moment. So fair play. So if there's something that you don't understand through any of your conversation with your GP, don't be afraid to ask. You're not supposed to know everything about this. So just ask them. Like many of the GP will say, well, I think you should go to this plan, or should try this HRT, or maybe you don't want a HRT. I was going, I'm happy to try HRT, but what is the difference between those HRTs? And explain to me how they're going to affect me and my body. So never be afraid to ask questions. Okay, next slide. So let's talk about the 3 stages of menopause. We briefly hit on it earlier on. So perimenopause, this is the transitional phase leading up to the menopause. So during this, you're going to see hormonal changes, various symptoms, and it can last anywhere between 7 to 10 years until menopause officially occurs. So you think of this roller coaster. Can you imagine going to one of those big fairs and being on a roller coaster for 7 to 10 years? So that's, even the thought of that is mental, but it's kind of how perimenopause in the last 3 years has treated me. Sometimes I feel like a lunatic, sometimes I love her, sometimes, you know what, you couldn't annoy me. So it's so important that you understand what's happening to your body. Menopause, so let's talk about it. This is crazy because menopause is confirmed when a woman has gone 12 consecutive months without your menstrual period. So that anniversary from your last period, 12 months later, that one day is your menopause. And then everything after that is your post-menopause. So next slide. So let's talk about the role of your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in the female body. And let's see if we can give you a bit of a better understanding. So estrogen, so if you remember from the graph, that's the one that started high and then had a big decline. So what does estrogen help the body do? So it helps your reproductive health. It regulates your menstrual cycle, maintains bone density, and what I mean by that is keeps your bones nice and strong, and it supports your cardio, vascular health, and it keeps the skin and hair very healthy. So this is just a brief, I suppose I picked out the most important things that I think. Other than that, I could be reading from pages and pages and stuff. So if your estrogen declines or if there's changes in your estrogen, what kind of effect will it have on the body? So it can cause hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, mood swings, decreased bone density, which obviously has an effect to osteoporosis, and instead of and obviously an increased risk of your heart disease. So that's just one hormone that has that massive impact, but you've got another 2 hormones as well. So the way I think of estrogen is, if you've got 2 friends and you have this crazy one that whenever you go out with, you always get into trouble. All right, so that is estrogen. So we go on to the next slide. We are going to talk about progesterone. Progesterone is that other friend that you might have, and she's quite chill. She keeps the whole thing very mellow. And if the crazy one goes out of whack, she'll bring her down into play. So you want each of those friends to go out with on a Saturday night. So you've got the mental one and the other one, and they will balance each other out. So what role does progesterone play in the female body? So again, it regulates menstrual cycles, supports pregnancy, and that underlined few words calms the nervous system. So that's the chill out one. And obviously aids in sleep. So you know if your sleep is off the scale, well then, do you think, is that my progesterone out of whack? So let's talk about changes. So your lower levels can contribute to irregular periods, anxiety, insomnia, mood fluctuations. So you're getting a double whack whenever this hormone is out of whack. And that's two hormones to worry about. And now we've got one more if we go to our next slide. So testosterone, more commonly known as a male hormone, plays a crucial role in muscle strength. Now, taking into consideration, we lose 1% of our muscle mass as females from the age of 35. All right, so energy levels down the pan. Libido, which any conversation I have with a woman face to face, we just laugh at that, because I remember whenever I was going for my testosterone consultation online, that's the first question that she asked me. I goes, you know what, that is the furthest thing from my mind. So, but it is one of those things on the NICE guidelines that your GP or your specialist has to tick off. Is libido an issue? And I suppose 99% of us women are going to say yes anyway. But and then the cognitive functions, so brain health. To me, that's just brain health. So you can see how important that is. I'm not too sure why that's not talked about just as much as the other two hormones, but we're definitely starting to have the conversations about testosterone. So personally, if I did not have my testosterone, I wouldn't be able to string a sentence on here today, girls. I wouldn't even hardly remember my own name on here today. So for me, once I got my testosterone, and that's my personal journey, it doesn't mean to say that you need it or it might be right for you, but it's worth being aware of. Okay, so the decline in testosterone may result in fatigue, low libido, reduced muscle mass, and brain fog. So there's three hormones that have a massive impact on our body. So now that you have a little bit of better understanding of that, you might pay a little bit more attention to your body and give it a little bit more love and care that it deserves. Okay, so next slide. So let's talk about strategies, and I want you to thrive through the menopause. I want to thrive through the menopause. And you know what? There's stages through my perimenopause that I do thrive, but it's like this past couple of months, as I say, I still have my regular cycle. I'm at the age 48. So for the first 2 weeks after my period, I feel like superwoman. I could take on the world. But for the second 2 weeks, I'm going like, I feel like 99. I don't want to work. I don't want to do workouts. I don't want to eat healthy. I just want to cover my head under a duvet. And I go, well, that's no quality of life. This is not okay. I know majority of the time I shouldn't be feeling like this. So this morning I got through to my GP and I was going, right, we need to talk and review about what's happening with my HRT because it's not doing what it's supposed to. So we're going to have a chat next week. So, but that's for you to follow up your GP. You can expect your GP to go, oh, Catherine Martin, she's on HRT. Now, should we maybe do a follow-up with her? It's never going to happen. They're under far too much pressure. And it's so important that you take responsibility for your body and you make those first moves. Next slide. Okay, so let's talk about nutrition. So nutrition for hormonal balance. Excuse me, nutrition, yeah, let's talk about it. So prioritize whole rich foods. So things like your flaxseed and your soy, and that will support your declining estrogens. So our phytoestrogens kind of mimic the estrogen that we already provide in our body. So by eating flaxseed or bringing those into your foods or soya, that can help your cause. Healthy fats. So anytime I think about healthy fats, I think of brain power. Okay, so that's just the connection I make there. So avocados, your nuts, your seeds, introduce that to your diet to balance hormones. Let's talk about calcium for your bones and vitamin D for bone health. And then we've got our protein to maintain the muscle mass. So if you don't have any muscle mass to begin with, you need to start working your muscles. If you have a decent level of muscle mass, you have to go strength training to keep that muscle mass. And if you have nothing to begin with, please, 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 just if you save the link to this YouTube channel and do 10 minutes of what I'm going to do with you every, say, 5 days, 5 days out of the 7, that is the perfect place to start. And you have to protect that little skeleton that we have, because as we get older, it will get frailer and you're setting yourself up for a fall. And if you do fall, like ladies over the age of 60, 65, like within a year of a hip replacement, a lot of ladies don't survive. I can't remember, brain fog, what the total figure is, but it's far too high, girls. You think if you don't have your mobility, if you don't have your independence, that's not even a thought that I want to consider. So do your body, this vessel that your soul lives in, a big favor and start moving and working your muscles. So again, we're going to go back to foods. So reduce your processed foods, your caffeine, your sugar, your alcohol. I know sometimes that's all the good stuff, isn't it? But I can guarantee you, if you get used to eating a cleaner, healthier whole foods, and if you went back to, say, a binge of chocolate and crisps and maybe alcohol, see, the next day you would think, yes, so now I know what healthy feels like, and now I know what being unhealthy feels like. And it doesn't feel good. Some people say you are what you eat. And I'm going, you know what, that's so true. Because at Christmas time, a lot of rich foods, a lot of whiskey for me. Okay, and I was going to see after Christmas, I felt terrible. I felt terrible, but it was because of all the late nights, out of structure, out of routine, not eating my clean, healthy food 80% of the time. And it took probably 6, 7, 8 weeks for my body to come back into play, because everything slows down, digestion and everything slows down during perimenopause and menopause. So you have to be kind. You have to take that into consideration. Now, staying hydrated also to combat dryness and aid digestion to promote healthy cells within the body. Like, you think, have you ever left grapes lying out in your fruit dish or at the back of the fridge and maybe forgot about them? And next thing, a week or two, you go back to them and they're all shriveled up. So you think of all the cells in your body, like there's millions of them. And if you can't give them enough hydration to travel around your body, to do what they're supposed to do through your systems, for your hormones, for everything that happens in your body, well then they don't have a fighting chance in actually doing what they're supposed to do to make you feel good. So that's how I think about hydration. So next slide. So I want to give you a sample of a plan of one food of what you could possibly eat to help balance your hormones, to reduce the inflammation in your body. I know I suffer with sore joints, and it's not a nice feeling. And I want to support your overall health while meeting the 120 grams protein goal. Okay, so for me, every woman, now there is calculations to work out how much protein every lady should be having, but in my eyes, you should definitely be hitting around 100 grams to 120 grams of protein. So if we go to the next slide, we're going to have we nosy and see what that would look like. Okay, so for an example, we will go with breakfast first. So we've got three eggs scrambled and a little bit of spinach. And I don't like spinach, but once it's cooked, there's no taste of it. And I'm getting some green in there, so I'm willing. And it's only 50 grams of salmon. So it could be cooked salmon, it could be smoked salmon. And we'll go with a slice of your whole grain toast with a wee little bit of avocado and a lovely cup of green tea. So why should we eat this for breakfast? So your eggs will provide a high quality of protein and your essential vitamins, which is your vitamin D and B12, which is amazing. Salmon offers your omega-3 fatty acids for your brain health and your heart health. And spinach is rich in magnesium to support bone health and relieve muscle tension. And then your avocado is your good fats, like I say, for your brain health and to support your hormone production. So you can see that's a very simple breakfast. It's a very quick breakfast, but take the time to eat that, especially coming off a fast, which happens at night time whenever you're sleeping. And that first meal is so important in the day. So you're getting loads of protein there, loads of good fats, and a wee bit of carbohydrate and fiber in there too. So that's what you want to be aiming for every meal. Okay, what's happening next? So I think we've got a snack next. We'll go to the next slide. Yep, we've got a wee snack. So I recently went to a little workshop to make my own kefir yogurt, and it's so easy. And it's literally milk and then your wee, oh, what do you call those wee things, your wee bacteria things? Sounds terrible, but it's so easy to make. Within 2 to 3 days, you can have your own kefir. There's somebody quite local that does the workshops. They were in the Open Door Complex in Blythe. Kelly is her name. I can't remember the name of her business, but I'll get that sent through to you. So if you had your yogurt and if you had your flaxseed with mixed berries, a very quick, simple breakfast or snack. And the kefir is packed full of calcium and probiotics for good gut health and bone strength. Gut health, oh, massive, massive, especially if that digestive system starts to slow down. Flax seeds, there's the magic word there. Phytoestrogens to help balance hormones naturally. And again, remember that was estrogen, a decline in estrogen, which could help with that. And berries provide antioxidants to combat oxidative strength or stress and support skin health as well. So try and make that as fresh as possible. And mixed berries, if you can't get them fresh, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the frozen ones. And I know Linwood's does flax seeds in the packs, but they also do like a wee small multi-pack where there's a lot of flax seeds and your chia seeds and a whole mix in that. So that's something that I like to use, and a wee bit of variety goes a long way as well. So that's a snack, and you can really do that at work, at home, wherever you may be. So let's go for the next meal, which is lunch. So grilled chicken breasts. The chicken breast will weigh like 150 grams with your quinoa and your roasted vegetables. And that can be made the night before and heated up in work the next day with your broccoli, which is nice and green, your bell peppers, your sweet potato, or ordinary potato, whatever you have in the cupboard, okay? With a wee bit of olive oil and some lemon dressing, just to pack in a wee bit more flavour. So obviously the chicken is lean in protein to support your muscle and maintain, so it wants to keep you nice and full so that you're not craving for something sweet. Your quinoa is a complex carb that provides sustained energy and fiber. So you think of, say, if you didn't have your quinoa, and if you had, say, for example, white pasta instead. So that white pasta, there's quite a bit of starch in there. And for me, that white pasta would shoot your blood sugars up quite high, whereas the quinoa just brings it nice and level. So instead of a quick response, you're getting that nice level response. And that's kind of the aim of the game going through menopause. Whenever my nutrition clients come on board for a 6-week health eating challenge, that is what we try and do. So keep those meals regular throughout the day, but the less spikes you have in your sugar levels means you're going to have less issues. All right, so the broccoli contains compounds that support your estrogen metabolism, and the sweet potato offers vitamin A for skin and immune support. So there's no fancy food here. This is basically trying to get as much home cooked food, and you can prep enough to do you for 2 or 3 days whenever it comes to trying to save time and save money. Okay, next slide. So probably that 3 p.m. slump is whenever we definitely need a little snack. Okay, so a handful of almonds or walnuts with a boiled egg. So the nuts are again healthy fats, plus you get your fiber, plus you get some magnesium for stress and hormone support, and your eggs will give you protein, and also there's good fats in your eggs as well for your brain health. So you can see with that one-way snack, you're getting so much, and that will keep you satisfied. Okay, next slide. I'm just conscious of the time here. Dinner, okay, so we could have some salmon, or if you wanted, you could have any other kind of oily fish. What do you call, oh, it's not on the tip of my tongue, it's in a vacuum pack. It's gone, brain fog. So yeah, there's another kind of fish that you can get that's quite oily. So you could steam that with some asparagus, and then again you've got your quinoa salad with olive oil and your herbal tea. So in around dinner time, that's your peppermint to help with digestive, chamomile just to reduce maybe those stress levels just to bring you back down into that calm state. And so why does it help? So again, we've got salmon for omega-3s and anti-inflammatory properties. Asparagus is liver detoxification, and it helps process excess hormones. Because sometimes if our hormones aren't low, they're going up high, so it helps just to level that out. And again, your quinoa adds more plant-based protein and essential amino acids. Like the body doesn't make all of those amino acids that we need, so sometimes we have to find them from food. So, and again, herbal tea promotes relaxation and supports digestion. So you can see, again, those few stable ingredients in your cupboard can go and just really help balance you out that a little bit more. Okay, next slide. I know this might seem an awful lot of food, because as ladies, we're very good at missing meals. And then we have our evening snack, cottage cheese with walnuts and a little drizzle of honey. And my favorite honey is the bee honey. I call it the real bee honey, where I get from my local farmer shop. And the taste of that is night and day. So I try to stay away from processed food, and it is so hard in this day and age that we live in. So I like to go to my local farmer markets and try and buy as natural as possible. And with regards to vegetables and fruits, if I need to buy frozen, I will do that because it's so quick and handy. Don't have to cut them up, don't have to peel them, don't have to do anything. You just bung them in whatever you're cooking. So the cottage cheese helps with casein protein, which again aids muscle repair and overnight. And walnuts provide again your omega-3 and your melatonin for better sleep. So that's why it's an evening snack. Okay, next slide. So let's talk about exercise, which will take us nicely through to me doing a little workout for you. So exercise and movement, strength training to maintain and to build muscle if you really don't have any, and to help with bone density. Bone density, like I say, our little bones need extra TLC. So if you think, and I understand, like people have maybe had bad experiences with exercise, maybe whenever they're younger at school or they went to a gym or anything like that. But please don't let that put you off looking after your body now at this stage of your life. Cardiovascular exercises like walking, swimming is an amazing one, cycling, gardening, housework, anything, I suppose, that's going to get your heart rate up that wee bit more, and that is for heart health. So some of the menopause class ladies that we have in the studio here, would always introduce something that's going to raise that heart, and make that heart and those lungs work a little bit harder. Flexibility and balance exercises. So yoga is something I've taken up recently myself. Love it because it's a little bit more gentle, and sometimes it's still hard work, but it's something a little bit different for my body. And that's going to help prevent injury and maintain mobility. So let's discuss in a little bit more detail with the next slide. So we go to the next slide. That's it, brilliant. So strength training for ladies over 35. And I suppose over 35 because that's most of my ladies in the studio here, Blythe, is over 35. Okay, so the reason why they come to me in this studio is to protect bone health. And you can do that with strength training, which will help bone growth and slow down the loss of your bone density by putting stress onto your bones in a healthy way. This makes them stronger and helps them prevent fractures and osteoporosis. So if you let your bones dwindle away, if you let your muscles dwindle away, if you fall, ladies, there's no way you're going to be protected. Your injuries are going to be greater. You might not even have the stability to stop yourself from falling. You might not have the core strength to even let that happen. And you know, it's like I said before, this is the vessel that we live in, and I want to live here to walk my dog on the beach. I want to live here to see my grandchildren. Should I have any? I want to be able to lift them up, and I want to be able to play with them in the garden, go and play football, go and play a sport, go and walk with them on the beach and enjoy life with them instead of saying, no, I can't do that. I can't get out of this chair. I don't have the mobility to do that. I don't have the upper body strength to do that. So ladies, you look after yourself. So maintains muscle mass for strength training as well. So like I say, and I put a massive emphasis on this because it's so important. So obviously muscle naturally declines due to our lower hormone levels, especially estrogen, especially testosterone. So keep building and maintaining that nice strong muscle. The way I look at it is your muscle is your body armor for your skeleton. You boost metabolism. So the more muscle that you have, ladies, you are talking about your body has to take energy to keep that muscle working. Okay, so you're going to burn more calories even by having more muscle because it has to work to even get you walking around, to do a workout, to do anything. It takes more energy for your body to do that because of your muscle mass. And of course, strength training will improve joint health and balance. And in our menopause classes in here, we work an awful lot on balance and we practice a wee bit of balance at home whenever we're brushing our teeth if our balance is not at a good level. So it's something we concentrate on in here, and it's going to be something that I'm going to show you in our workout as well. Okay, next slide. I feel like I'm watching the time and I'm talking faster and faster. I don't want to miss any of these slides. So I suppose the biggest question is how to start your strength training in a daily life, especially if you've never done it before. So to begin with, some simple movements. I just need to get my battery powered up 1 wee second. Apologies. See, should have had that in, but that's us now. Now, I would not want you miss the best part, ladies, which is the workout at the end. So how do you introduce a wee bit of training into your daily regime, especially if you're not even remotely interested in it? Okay, so let's start with body weight. There's enough body weight there to create some resistance. All right. So you can do things like squats, lunges, and push-ups at home. Push-ups off the wall, push-ups off the worktop. So resistance bands, and I'm going to show you samples of the stuff that I have here. So resistance bands is one of my favorite things to use because on a day like today where my joints are not feeling great, I will still work my muscles really hard with resistance bands. And do you know what? They're so cheap. I think they're like £12 for a pack of 5 that you can order on Amazon and that you can start training with today. Dumbbells, start with your lighter weights if you are going to introduce those. They could come anything from like 1 to 5 kg. But as you get more familiar with using that different kind of equipment, once it starts to get easier, well, then that's where you want to consider going a little bit heavier. But first and foremost, the most important thing is to do everything well. It's not just a matter of let's get these reps done. It's really think about what your body's doing, how it's moving, because you want to do this for longevity. So consider your best course of action. Once you get to that level and maybe confident that you want to go into a gym or you want to go and see a personal trainer for that one-to-one sessions. So do your research online, find out and follow those people that you like, that you can relate with, that you think are true to the cause of being healthy, and somebody that you can relate to and somebody that you like. So home workouts are brilliant for those ladies that really don't have an hour to go to a gym and back home. So that would be your first course of action. And if you have somewhere close by, well, then that's even better. So let's go for next slide. So examples of strength training, okay, and rep schemes. So if you're going to design a workout at home and you're not too sure what way to do it, have a wee nosy at this. So endurance training is where you want to train for that wee bit longer. And that's, I suppose, the purpose of that is to improve your muscular endurance. That means you're not tired after 60 seconds. You could maybe go for 20 or 30 minutes. And that's what you would set your goal as. And joint stability as well. So example of exercise would be body weight or light weights. And you could do squats, for example, as one of your exercises. And what you would do is 2 or 3 sets. And by reps, I mean repetitions. So how many times do you do that movement? And you would keep the reps quite high, which 12 to 15 reps. Now, if you want to go strength training, this will build strength and muscle tone, helping you to prevent muscle loss. So in order to do that, you might bring in a little bit more of equipment, like your dumbbells, like your shoulder press with a moderate weight, something that's going to challenge the muscles. And you would do like 3 to 4 sets approximately. And you could do anything between 8 and 12 reps. Now, the important thing to remember here is whenever you're building muscle, that last few reps of each set, you want to be going, oh my God, do you have to do another one? I'm not too sure if it can. And that's where you're really working those muscles. Now, power training will build maximum strength, but obviously this is a process. You'll not do that as a complete beginner, so body weight's the right place to be starting for you. And generally throughout time, throughout the months, you will progress through this kind of training regime. So building maximum strength and improved bone density and balance. So you're hitting the three there big time. And you might prove that might be an exercise like deadlifts with a heavier weight, with really good technique, really good form. And that's where you're going to need professional help if you're going to go to the stage. Okay, and you'll bring your sets down to maybe 4 or 5 or up to 4 or 5, but you'll bring your reps way, way, way down because there's no way if you've got a heavy weight that you'll be able to do 15 reps. Okay, that's not the way you work it. So your reps will be a lot lower. You probably need a wee bit more rest in between each set as well. So please do not let any kind of training be overwhelming. The important thing is to get started. And if that's just body weight, which is what we're going to do today, and I'll bring in those other wee bits of equipment throughout that workout that you can do at home to get you started at the very least. All right. So, and you know what? Once you're started doing this, like the first workout you'll ever do is like, am I going to die here? I feel like I'm going to die here, but it doesn't matter if you do 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The next time you go, oh, well, that's maybe not just as hard. We'll give it another wee rattle. So never let a wee bit of discomfort put you off. And you think about it, like the majority of us ladies actually have the capacity and the pain threshold to have children. So if you can do that, girls, this is not going to touch that, okay? You can do hard stuff. Plus, you're getting a wee bit of satisfaction out of this as well. And next slide. I think that's just nearly finished. So three things to remember to thrive through your menopause is not the end. It is a transformation that's happening within your body, and it's an opportunity to step into a new version of you with confidence. I have to say, once I hit over that 40 stage, and I'm 48 now, and I was going through perimenopause, I really do care less about what other people think. So I just suit me. I even cut off all my lovely brown hair, if you can remember from the first couple of slides, and just want my own natural colour because I did not want to colour my hair every 3 weeks. Now, there's a bit of a crappy process to grow that out, but I have to say, I love my hair. I love my new look, and I wish I had the confidence to do that years ago. So with the right knowledge, tools, and support, you can thrive and feel empowered in your body and in your mind. And remember your mind and your body. There has to be that connection as well. So start small, listen to your body, be really aware of what it needs at any given time, and take action to create that lifestyle that supports you, your health, your happiness, and do not be afraid to ask for help, ladies. Next slide. So the final thought of today is menopause is a journey. It is not a destination. It's like anything in life, ladies. So let's make this a journey of strength, of self-care and self-empowerment. And next slide. So this is me and my lovely coach, Catherine. This is who, the name of my business is Women Gone Strong, as you know. And we are based in Balahi, and we have the most amazing space with the most amazing tribe of females that all are here to support each other in every way possible. And if you would love to come in and have a chat to me online or face to face, you are more than welcome. So please take that number down, take that email address down. And if it's just one question that you need to ask and that I can help to help you, that would be amazing.
Catherine, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Those recipe slides have me feeling starving. They all sounded fantastic. We've just got a couple of questions in, if you're happy for me to ask them
Yes,
before
absolutely.
we do the workout. That's perfect. You mentioned about having sort of properly hydrated body day to day and throughout menopause and perimenopause, how much water would you recommend drinking throughout those stages?
Okay, personally, I recommend about 2 liters of water. Now, if you're only drinking like 500 mils a day, you're not going to go straight to 200 liters of water. Okay, so build that up, say 100 mil every couple of days. So that is the bare minimum. Now, if you're sweating and if you have night sweats and stuff, remember it's so important to replace those salts as well. So I use that Celtic salt. And I put a wee bit of that under my tongue a couple of times a day before I drink my water, a glass of water. So those simple tricks can make so much difference to how you actually feel.
Brilliant. Thank you. And obviously, this is probably the most important question everyone's wondering. Can you still have treats from time to time? Would there be maybe a terrible effect if you do have a chocolate binge on one day or
Oh, let me tell you, life throws obstacles your way, and for me, sometimes a packet of biscuits is the only thing that's going to make my life feel better. So, do you know what? I always follow the 80 and 20% rule. Okay, so 80% of the time, I try to eat as clean as I can, unprocessed as I can, but I still like to have a little whiskey at the weekend on a Friday night. But everything in moderation. Everything in moderation.
perfect? And our final question is, what are the best treatments for menopause?
Oh, that's a whole different webinar. It really, really is. And one thing that you need to consider is do what's right for you, but do your investigations. Obviously, I want a HRT. Now, I would love to find a more natural way that's going to help me transition through this. I haven't found that yet, and my body couldn't wait until I got those answers. So that's something that I'm always searching for, looking for, and really, really driving into. So I have to say, be very careful of anything that's sold online through social media. It's not always went through the proper channels for that to happen. Always go through your professional. And there is also your holistic approaches, like Reiki, yoga, Kundalini yoga, meditation, reflexology. Utilize all that kind of stuff that makes you feel good. And even a wee seed up if you're brave enough to. So it really is. So for me to thrive through my menopause, it is a little bit of everything. I can't just focus on food. I need to do the exercise. I need to do the self-care. I need to keep a track of everything. So I'd love to say there's one simple answer, but there so isn't. There so isn't.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Catherine. And thank you to everyone who submitted questions. So Catherine will now guide us through a bodyweight workout. Just to everyone watching, remember your cameras are switched off by default, so please don't worry about being seen if you are going to join in and follow along. So I'll make you full screen, Catherine, and back to you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Well, hopefully my legs are working because I've just sat on them for the last 40 minutes. Ooh, right. Okay, so the most important thing to remember about doing a workout, especially if your joints are sore, is to go with body weight for the warm up those joints, and do you want have a little bit of fun with it? So I'm going to just a little bit of exercise. Okay, so I will go for 10 reps, boxing up and getting that wee toe tap in so that those ankle joints are being warmed up. Okay. And if you've got a lot of frustrations in life, you can imagine somebody on the end of your punch. Sometimes it helps. 3, 2, 1. And then we're just going to go straight across. You're going to get that twist and motion in play. You can go fast, you can go slow, just depending on how you feel on any given day. Now, I would love to have bouncy music on, but there's no way you could hear me talk. So don't be afraid if you're recording this or watching the recording to put on some really good music. A good Apple playlist is really good. Okay, we're going to punch out the front and we're just warming up the muscles, warming up the joints and getting that heart rate slightly up. Okay, and then we're going to step up with those high knees and reaching for that second. All right, so this is going to warm up the core, the legs, and everything in between. All right, okay. And then we're going to whiz those joints, elbow joints, wrist joints. Just give them a nice wee whirl and opposite direction. All right, and then we're going to go small circles, warm up the shoulders, and then we're going to go that wee bit bigger. And right, and we can go a wee bit faster. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we're going to do 2 things at once. We're going to work on a wee bit of stability there. If you can, give those on the one leg. Ankles a wee whirl. But if you need to hold on, ever so lightly to a wall. You certainly can. Okay, and then we're going to go the other side. So knee up, keeping the core nice and tight. 3, 2, 1. Down. Like I say, resistance bands, ladies, is something that I love. If you don't have one, that's fine, but definitely get yourself some. And what I do is bring the bands underneath the knees, and I use this as part of my warm-up in all of my classes in the studio. So you bring your feet apart. What is a squat? We're going to do a squat now. And a squat is something that you do every day. You literally sit your bum on the seat and then back up. Bum on the seat and back up. And the beauty of using the bands is resistance against your muscles, pushing your knees out. Every time I push my knees out, I squeeze my bum on the way back up. All right, so from the side, work, squeeze the bum on the way up. So my butt muscle is working and my legs. All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to bring that band around the ankles next. We're going to step out and then you're going to keep your bum nice and tight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and other side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, this time we're going to make it a little bit harder. We're going to go on the single leg. We're working core here. Okay, and this is still part of our warm-up. So for me to stand that one leg, this leg has to work really hard. I squeeze my backside really hard, and I can feel my ankle have to work really hard there to keep me in that right position. Shake those legs. They might feel a wee bit burny, which is good. That's a good feeling. If your muscles are feeling a wee bit burny, that's them working hard. So don't be afraid of that feeling. 3, 2, and 1. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to bring the band around the laces, around the soles of the feet. We're going to bring the feet just hip width apart, hands on the hips, and we're going to bring that knee up. So we're bringing that knee up, we're working on the back of the leg, which is known as your hamstring. Okay, so be quite forceful on the way up. 3, 2, 1, and change on the side. So with that band on, it's just making that a wee bit more harder, which means my muscles have to work that wee bit harder. And I'm standing doing the same movement as what you would with your body weight. So you might as well add the band for more benefits to your muscles. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's the legs all well warmed up. And if this is your first ever workout, you might feel that this is actually part of the workout, and that's fine. Make it your workout. Now, we're going to stay away from the joints. We're going to put the band just above the watch. So important to hold your body right. You're going to go shoulders, back, and down. And I want you to think there's a wee zip at the bottom of your leggings. And just, you're going to pull that wee zip to the belly button, which means your core is switched on and therefore working. Okay, so in that position, we're going to pulse. Okay, we're going to pulse, and that's why it's so good to get these wee bands, because those muscles in my arms are working really hard. I'm squeezing my bum and holding my tummy tight. And I'm going to move the hands up, thumbs facing the ceiling, like so. And if you do this for 30 seconds, ladies, you can feel an amazing burn in your muscles. And if you do 10 minutes of this whole workout, you are going to be winning 5 days a week. Okay, and then overhead. Now, some people find it really hard to go overhead because their mobility is not right, but through time, through practice, you will be able to get those arms further back. And at the end of the day, that's where they're supposed to be. So if they're not there, that's going to be your progress, is bringing them overhead. All right, so we're going to bring the shoulders back and down, give them a wee burn. And again, pelvis up. And I want you to go diagonal. So every time you go diagonal, think about your shoulder blades at the very back coming together. 3, 2, 1, and change. And you do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we're going to leave the band down, and we're going to go back into a few different movements. Okay, this is something that I do in my menopause class. So I've got some weights. If you're a complete beginner, 1 kg in each hand. Okay, you're going to hold them in nice and tight to the chest. because it's more resistance against your muscles. And we're going to go 10 squats. So 10, squeeze the bum. You don't have to go 100 miles an hour, but be very aware of where your bum's at. Be very aware that your knees are going out to the sides. They might go in, which is what you don't want. So you're going to push those knees on out, and that's why my studio is covered in mirrors. So if you've got a mirror at home, do this in front of the mirror and be very aware of what your body's doing. So we would do 10 of those, and then I want you to come down nice and slow. So we're going to go down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, squeeze your bum. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and up. So instantly you feel the burn, and that's a good thing. Let's go again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and squeeze. We'll do one more just for the crack. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Keep that chest up nice and tall. Do not let those shoulders round. 3, 2, 1. Squeeze the bum. Okay, so let's roll out those feet. Give those legs a wee shake. Get the blood flow going back. Now, once you progress, they're 1 kg. And there's wee plates that you can buy. And they're like 1.2s. They go up to 2.5s. They go up to 5s. So as you get stronger, you can reduce different weights. Okay, so let's go back to our single leg. Okay, so the weights in the arms, punch. 5, 4, and again, you can see how slow I'm going. 3, 2, and 1, and change it over. Up you come. So you'll always have one side that's a wee bit stronger than the other, and that's completely natural. 4, and if this is too difficult, toe on the floor ever so lightly. 2, and 1. And through time, you should be able to get the whole knee up. So that's somewhere you can progress to. Okay, so, and again, another progression is heavier weights again. So they were 1.25, and this is now 3, but I feel strong enough for a 3. So I'm going to do these today. All right, we're going to go into a lunge position. So you're going to stand with the feet directly underneath the hips. You're going to take one step forward, one step back, and then I want you to bend the back knee. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, you're going to bend the back knee. Now you can see my shoulders above my hips, and I'm going to squeeze my bum, okay? And then I'm going to bring the dumbbells up. 5, control down. 4, control. So I'm working arms, I'm working the back side, I'm working my legs with this one movement. So we like to do that with our menopause workouts in here. Work as many parts of the body as we can in one exercise. 2, and one more. 1. Good, and bring it down. Feet together, check out those legs, and we're going to go to the other side. So foot forward, foot behind on the tiptoe, bring that down, and let's go with our bicep curls. Squeeze the dumbbell and control. Squeeze your back side at the same time and control. We'll go for 3 more. 3, 2, 1 more. Back leg might be shaking, and that's completely normal. And down and feet together. If you don't have weights yet, you could use 2 cans of beans. Okay, it's still resistance on your body, especially if you're a beginner. Now, I'm very mindful of time here. Yeah, we're already over. So that's a wee tiny workout, which can take you, what, 7 or 8 minutes. But once you get used to those movements, instead of maybe doing them for 5, 6, or 7 reps, you could go 10 reps, 12 reps. And once you're hitting 12 to 15 reps easily, then you introduce more weight and more resistance. All right, now if you want to contact me for workouts, please do so. I have menopause workouts available to send you by email or whatever source would be suitable. Okay, so that is me today. Thank you so much for taking the time and listening.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Um, Thank you to everyone who attended as well. I hope everyone's feeling very energized now. Either that or ready for a nap if it's the first workout. This webinar was organised by Middlester Multiply Programme. So you'll shortly see a QR code come up on the screen, and this will take you to our evaluation survey to let us know what you thought of today's session. We'd be really grateful for any feedback you could give us for future webinars as well. You'll also receive this link via email. So once again, it's really helpful if you can give us our feedback. Just take a minute to do so as a short form. Thank you again, Catherine, and thank you all for attending, and see you next time.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Catherine. That was amazing.
Brilliant.